Hi, welcome to Walking Wilder. I am back. This is a shadow work reading, and welcome in if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. I do a lot of readings on this channel about shadow work and inner child healing and twin flame energy, Akashic records, soul contracts, that type of thing. So if that is something you're interested in, hang on and let's see where this goes. The first card I drew for the overall theme of this reading is the ocean. And my feeling with this is that there's a lot that you have recently kind of gotten to know about yourself, but there's also still a lot that's hidden underneath the surface, which of course, is not unusual. We all have our shadows. We all have, you know, things we're learning, this constant um, development, growing. But it's like there's something here. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's something here that is wanting to be seen, that is wanting to somehow come into the light. This to me is your intuition, your third eye vibe. And it's kind of like you intuitively know that there's something here that you need to get to know better about yourself if in order to move forward. The second card that I pulled is literally the shadow work card. So there's something here about looking at yourself, um, perhaps, through a mirror or through, it kind of feels like the eyes of others, in the sense that there might be something about the way that you see yourself that is not very loving. This has two keywords, loving and neglect. And there's something here about not seeing yourself through very loving eyes. Um, the third card that I pulled is sadness. Um, and to me, this talks about listening to your own inner sadness. What is it that is kind of in um, this, well, low vibe feels kind of weird to say, but it's, see how, the flowers on her face is kind of like tears. And I get this feeling that there's something that once you see it, once you feel it, not just see it, know it, but feel it, it can somehow help you grow parts of yourself that has, been hidden. These parts here. Um, so let's see what this is all about. So welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you like my reading style. Maybe write me a comment if this reading resonates with you. Give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel, and that I appreciate a whole lot. So this is too many. Can I know what's the challenge here for the collective spirit? Can I know what's the challenge here? Judgment. Awakening. Transformation. But see, one of the words on this card is also self-evaluation. So there's something, again, here about how you view yourself. Um, and see how, in this particular deck, the judgment card is like a group of people. There might be something here about asking people that you know very well and trust to, name your greatest assets or your greatest, what do they admire about you? Why? What do they really like? To kind of, there's something about needing to see the goodness in yourself, needing to see yourself with eyes that are milder. Can I know more about this judgment? For some of you, this has been a very old pattern that you've carried with you, ever since childhood, perhaps even from different lifetimes. Now, if you don't vibe with, different lifetimes, then just ignore that part. Um, but see, yeah, here's the Hermit. It feels like you're really, you know, in your own, kind of like pulling, well, not pulling away, but there's a part of you that you keep hitting, that you keep to yourself, only to yourself, something that is somehow chaining you from, see how she's carrying all these chains, but this is the Nine of Cups. This is your wish fulfillment. This is your happy life. This is you, being able to manifest whatever it is that, is your version of the good life. This is self-love. This is all of that good stuff. But it's like here you are in solitude. Some of you think that other people, um, think that yeah, some of you might actually think that other people don't like you much. You might feel like an outsider, feel like you're not really um, finding it difficult to kind of socialize with people. Um, the authority figure here. Some of you might feel like, you just don't fit in, can't really find the right words. You can kind of hear how this seems to be difficult for me to find the right words. I'm just going to have some tea here. I apologize if you hear that I have I have headphones on because my microphone, uh, it's not broken, but I need some new piece of equipment for it. So now I'm using headphones, and so the microphone's like literally right there in my face. But there's something here about feeling chained and not really be able to, see how it's almost, you can imagine that she can't really reach the Nine of Cups. There's things weighing her down, things that is just not really within her reach. Tell me about the Hermit. Why is the Hermit here, Spirit? Six of Wands. This is about wanting success, about wanting to, I feel like, breathe easier. um, this actually feels kind of, the energy feels like you're having a hard time breathing really easily. Kind of like this feeling of wanting to just be able to exhale and let go of your worries, exhale and let go of, patterns and conditions that you feel like maybe you put them on yourself or maybe other people have put them on you. But there's something here preventing you from having this success. Eight of Wands. Communication. Some of you are having a difficult time communicating what this actually is, maybe even to yourself. It's kind of like there's this underlying sense of sadness, but it just can't really seem to break the surface. It keeps hidden underneath here, and you know that you're sad, but you might not be able to put words on exactly why that is or what it is that's going on. Some of you might be asking your spirit guides to help you out with this, and they're kind of like, it seems like the communication is not really, either it's not there or you're not really trusting that what is coming through is actually, your intuition and not something that you are imagining. Knight of Wands. This is kind of like a lack of a confidence in who you are, what you are here to do, what you can, bring to the table, how other feels about you. There's something here about feeling sad. Sad about what, Spirit? Perhaps your ideas are not really, you feel like other people are not either understanding your ideas or listening to your ideas. There might be within the, your closest group of people around you, there might be people who view your ideas as, and I don't just mean, ideas like we have to, but your point of views, your way of viewing the world, um, as bizarre. I'm hearing. I don't know, that's not for all of you, but there's definitely something about communicating your views, your ideas, that is an obstacle for you here, and it feels like it's very heavy. But see, there's no key. Well, yeah, there's no key to this lock, but it's also not locked. You could actually open it if you wanted to. So there's something here about seeing some of the limitations that you're putting on yourself. Some of these things are patterns that are, that you've carried with you from early childhood, that feels like I'm just not good enough. See, here's the chains to go with the lock. I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to be able to free myself. There might be some of you that are thinking you're not going to be able to free yourself to actually do this shadow work and free yourself from this. And there's just this sense of sadness. Some of you might feel like, well, it's probably too late anyways. You might, be getting up in years, and it's like there's things you wanted to do, and now it's, not, you're thinking it's not going to happen, and, that kind of thing. Tell me more about the spirit. The stranger. Yeah, you might feel like a stranger in a lot of connections. There's something here about being lonely even when you're in a room full of other people. That's often, something that stems from that we just feel like we're not, we're just not fitting in. Can I know more about that, spirit? The challenge here with this. Temperance. Yeah, Six of Cups. Here's the childhood memories. This is old wounds that you carry from your childhood. There might have been like a feeling of not fitting in, of not really being part of the family, or not being understood by, whoever was your primary caregiver. There's something here about feeling that you're not really balanced, that you're not. Some of you might be walking a spiritual path that, didn't really, didn't fit into whatever your family situation was. People are not really understanding your point of view. Where is all of this coming from? That type of thing. And you might also feel like you have a higher purpose that is somehow taking you, in directions, or actually, yeah, it feels like whatever the higher purpose that you think you have, and I'm not saying you don't, that's not it, but it feels like there's a part of you that intuitively know other people just don't get that. They just don't understand it, and that feels like sadness. There's a quite a level of sadness to that, a level of just not, again, just not fitting in. Like other people are judging you. You can't really free yourself from it. You can't really be totally happy. There's something there about just not being able to relax and just be happy. Can I know what's the supporting energies here, Spirit? This feels a little difficult. Here's the sun, though. So there is something about seeing this for what it is. There might be something about realizing that sometimes being on a specific path is actually a beautiful thing. And it may not be that people are judging you. It could be that they just don't understand your path, but that doesn't mean that they are judging you. It just means that there is maybe, it feels like some sort of disconnect because they're just, they're not seeing how deeply you are actually feeling. Here's the Knight of Cups. Yeah, it's like you have so much empathy, so much soul, so much, I don't know, kindness, that the world just sometimes seems really hard, really harsh, really not such a nice place, and right now things are, in a lot of places difficult. There's something about you having a point of view about how we ought to treat each other that some people might sometimes find a little naive, because they're like, oh yeah, well, but people will always be people and blah 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 blah. And there's a part of you that kind of knows the potential for goodness that humanity has. It's I used to say that, I really, really love the potential that humanity has, the magic that is the collective energy and the things that we are capable of. If we could get to the point where we manifest it with love, it would be so amazing. But, individual people can sometimes be a challenge. So there's something here about that vibe of seeing everything that's going on and feeling, the sadness for the lack of love, the lack, and it feels like unicorn and light and all of that, but that's not it. There's a level here of deep, deep empathy that makes you sad for some of the collective things that are going on. So tell me more about the sun here, Spirit. Two of Swords. Yeah, see, this is the choice right now. It's like, how do I navigate in this? Do I speak up and often, get ridiculed because people are very mean to each other right now? Or do I do my thing and not, you know, pretend I don't see what this is? This whole thing about how do I find balance about when to speak up, when to, you know, be the one that defends others, and when and at the same time protect your own energy. There's something about that too. Tell me more about that, Spirit. The Star. Yeah, healing. Oh, I'm gonna cover this one up. Whoop. Okay. It's basically the whole card. But yeah, there's something here about being the healer, and being a healer can be. I'm gonna put the Star card over here, sadly, but YouTube is not going to be happy about it otherwise. But there's something about being the healer. A lot of you have the wounded healer energy, and there's just something here about seeing the tremendous need for love and compassion, just for kindness, and feeling the suffering of other people in this. But there's also something about you seeing that capacity in yourself and realizing that it is a strength, and learning how to work with it so that it doesn't, tear down your own energy, and it doesn't lead you into, neglecting your own needs and your own kind of like into despair. There's something about balance here too, about the light and what is hidden underneath here. Tell me more about the sun, the Two of Swords, Spirit, for the supportive energy here. Seven of Swords. Yeah, this is seeing through all the gaslighting, all the lying, the things you can't really trust, all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And if this is your reading, you're probably one of the people who see through all of this. And that can be a really, really tough place to be right now, because there's so much unrest, so much gaslighting, so much just not kindness. So there's something here about seeing the deception, with the Sun card and the Seven of Swords, choosing to see what is actually going on, and then deciding, how do you find balance in that? How can you speak what you know to be truth without people judging you, and when should you and when should you not? There's something about that as well. Yeah, Eight of Cups here, walking away from situations that are not going to be helpful. Sometimes we have to recognize that certain people we just cannot, no matter what you say, they're not going to see your point of view. They're just going to keep believing what they believe because it somehow fits their story, and that's their soul's journey. And you just, there's nothing really to do with that. Tell me more about this supportive energy. So this is, don't s- practice seeing things for what they are. See the goodness in yourself. Know that you're kind. Know that you're compassionate. Know that you have this sensitive nature and you can, connect to these things. But also choose when you do and when you don't. It's okay to focus on you being in balance with yourself so that your energy is supporting you. You cannot take on the entire sadness of everybody else. You just can't. All right. One more card about the supportive energy here, Spirit. No. And again, if you like this reading, please give it a thumbs up. Here's the Hierophant, yeah, and the Lovers. So this is learning to be balanced. This is focusing on the things that you can change. Focus on, you know, spreading kindness. Focusing on, I don't know, I'm going to put the Lovers card over here too. Um, but this is learning to know how to, protect your own energy, how to be there for other people, how to be the voice of reason, the voice of compassion, the voice of kindness, while still protecting your own energy and learning to find the balance, within yourself with the Lovers card here, so that you don't deplete your own energy, that you are not walking around being sad, basically all the time. All right. Let me see here. What's the opportunity for this in this spirit? Yeah, a new beginning. This is you leading the way in a lot of, in a sense here. This is you showing other people that you, okay, yeah, this is if I could find the words, that would help. But this is you showing other people how to be compassionate, how to be kind, how to take care of yourself, how to, instead of being caught up in all the sadness, be the light, be the one that shows how it can be done. Show compassion, show kindness, show how we can, speak to each other. And yeah, sometimes people are not going to get it and they're going to see you as naive or they're going to see you as, I don't know, whatever. But it really doesn't matter because you know who you are. You see yourself and make sure you see yourself with love. See everything that you have to offer. See yourself with love and be love. That sounds so like a cliche, but really it's, it's the vibe. It's the healer vibe. You are here to heal. There's no doubt about that. If this is your reading, you are a healer. You are born to walk this path. Seven of Wands. Yeah, this is finding, how do I have healthy boundaries with other people and still be able to lead the way here with the Fool. And it can be a challenge. It absolutely can be a challenge. But this is Spirit saying, we need you to step up here. Well, step up, that sounds like you're not doing anything. That's not what that's not what I'm feeling. But to lead the way here, to set healthy boundaries, to see what is going on and to not let people get away with things that are obviously just, lies, deceit, gaslighting, whatever it is. Be the one that says, I don't buy that. Not for 1 second. Be nice to other people, you know? Okay. Can I get 3 cards of advice here, Spirit? I hope this makes sense for you guys. It's actually a beautiful energy, but there's a lot of sadness here, which makes sense because there is a lot of things to be sad about in the world right now. But there's also a lot of good. And there's the more people that sees that sees the good in themselves, that returns to this state of spreading kindness. I love that word. I've always loved that word. Kindness is like, you don't have to like everybody, but you can always be kind. You know? There's something about that. And that includes being kind to yourself, you know? Definitely. 3 cards of advice, Spirit. 4 of Swords. Rest, healing, taking time for yourself, not pushing yourself beyond your limits. 5 of Swords. Stepping back from the conflicts, the negative thoughts, the discussions, people's hate talk, all of this, and speaking truth. Ace of Swords. Clearly, truthfully, don't let people get away with gaslighting, with lies, with deceit, with all of that. Don't participate in it. Don't, you know. Yeah. I feel like I need. What do I need? One of these cards. There's a closing card here. Can I have one closing card, Spirit? Yeah. The moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. So yeah, this is a call from Spirit for you to realign with love, to step out of that energy of sadness. Yes, there's a lot to be sad about, but it can also, become shadows that we have to carry around. So look at yourself with kind eyes, look at other people with kindness, speak the truth. Don't let people get away with bullying and hate talk and all of that. Be a part of the light. Spread your views, your ideas, your way of. And it doesn't have to be in big ways, it can be in conversation with people you meet during your day, but be brave, be brave enough to what's the word I'm looking for? To go forward, to go towards whatever it is that's coming with kindness. Yeah. I think I'll leave it at that. I hope it makes sense. If it does, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, maybe write me a comment. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Big love.